Hello YouTube, Brent Peeler here with you. Coming to you from Dumaguete City here in the Philippines on this quiet, eerie, I don't know, the calm before the storm type of night. It's been very quiet here in Dumaguete, and that's very rare for here. And until just a few moments ago, I felt the cool air kind of creep in. The wind's kind of starting to pick up just a little bit. I don't know if that's the outer edges of the storm just reaching us. First of all, I want to say I am here in Dumaguete, totally in the clear as far as I know from the super typhoon that is hitting as we speak. But I didn't realize how close I was to that last one. You know, I knew it hit around San Carlos and stuff, and then 4 days after the typhoon, I'm seeing all these videos of like Calayan or whatever, just a town about 100 miles from here, just totally devastated, flooded. I'm talking about a river running through the town. So I say I'm safe. I totally think I'm safe. But this is the Philippines. I never understood or never realized how dangerous this place was. You know, with the recently, I've definitely learned, you know, there's been volcanoes, landslides, earthquakes, typhoons. This is the second typhoon in a week. And that last one killed over 100 people. And it's just, it can reach out and bite you pretty quick. You know, that's something I didn't have to deal with in Oklahoma. You know, we dealt with tornadoes. And you know, that's just a seasonal deal. But growing up with them your whole life, you know, you kind of get used to them. You know, you just sit out there and watch one coming or whatever. But here in the Philippines, it's really taught me that these people go through a lot and very often. You know, with all the natural disasters that they have, it's just it's a pretty dangerous place. So if you're thinking about coming to the Philippines, I'm not trying to scare you off. I just want you to be aware that, you know, anything can happen anytime. And I'm in Dumaguete, and a lot of people say, well, why'd you pick Dumaguete? Well, first of all, I didn't want to be in the city. So Manila's out, Cebu City's out. You know, I gave Cebu City spent a month there and was miserable. I had to get out of there, and Dumaguete was familiar with me mainly because I'd seen it on YouTube, and like I say, it's not a big city. And number two, it was told to me at that time, and I kind of believe it. It's one of the safest cities in the Philippines, crime-wise, weather-wise, you know, natural disaster-wise, as far as I've been told. And you know, I've been here off and on for 2 years, and haven't really had anything major happen. You know, I've been here for a few earthquakes. I'm kind of getting used to them now. You know, I know I'm probably hundreds of miles from where the earthquakes was, except for the little ones. There's been, you know, little ones all around here, but I'm talking about like the big ones within a couple hundred miles, and definitely felt them. And I have to say, the first one freaked me out. The second and third one, I was just like, okay, I know what that is, no big deal. But yeah, it kind of spooked me, the first one. But like I say, with these things that you cannot prepare for, to a certain extent, you know, the natural disasters, it'll wake you up. It really will. And especially with these typhoons. I'm not familiar with them. The only thing I've ever had to do with I've been in one hurricane, and that was not up to me. When I was in the military, I got called up and had to go to Hurricane Katrina there in New Orleans right after it happened. And you talk about a total cluster F. Trying to slow down on my cussing. But yeah, while we was there, I had to sit there and watch Hurricane Rita come through. And you know, after seeing the devastation of Katrina, I wasn't in Katrina when it happened, but I was there like a week later. And so, hell, I was scared to death. when they told us, "Yep, brace yourself, Rita's coming to you," and hell, they had us out on point, guarding neighborhoods and sitting out in the Humvee when that thing come through, and it wasn't a big deal at all. And I realize it depends on where you're at, and are you hit directly and all that. And nobody can predict that, folks. Nobody can predict where the typhoon's going to go. This one, luckily, is up toward Luzon, but this thing is supposedly 300 kilometers wide. That's 200 miles wide, folks. So there's a big stretch that's going to get hammered, and I don't think we'll really know the magnitude of it for, I don't know, 3 or 4 days, a week, just because it's like being in a war. The first thing they do when you're in war is try to take out your communication, and that's the first thing that will happen with the wind and the stuff blowing, and then comes the aftermath, or the rain. That's what knocks everybody out, folks. Yeah, the wind is an inconvenience. It'll tear some stuff up. But it's mainly the water that gets you, just like in Katrina. Like I said, that was a nightmare being in Katrina. I mean, I seen some foul things. That I'm talking bodies everywhere. We got to where there was bodies in the sidewalks, bodies in the houses, bodies everywhere, and people just put a blanket over them. I mean, it was so hot there that we finally started having to put them in reefers. I mean, it was disgusting. It was. I don't know. It left a lasting mark on me. I mean, it really messed with my psyche. I remember later on in the game, I was there well over a month, and probably about 3 or 4 weeks into it, we started. We was guarding the neighborhoods and stuff, and guarding the pumps and that kind of stuff, and boredom overtakes you, and we finally started going door to door with some of the teams that they sent in there to check houses or whatever. And what they do, they'd mark an X on the house, and put a 0 if they didn't find bodies, put a 1 or however many number of bodies that they found on and so we was bored, and hell, I'm tough as anybody else. I started going on a few of them little deals until we started finding people, and you got to remember, after being in a hot, humid, muggy place like New Orleans, and a lot of that, the body was still underwater. I mean, I went through this house, and I wouldn't even know there was a body there, because it had melted down and decomposed so bad that it was pretty much unrecognizable. And we went with we had a team leader, and I asked him how he spotted it, and he said he would have never spotted it, but he seen the wheelchair, because you got to remember, all this stuff has been covered in water and in mud and sludge, and he seen the wheelchair, so he knew what to look for, and we found it, and it turned my stomach. It put crap in my head. It's just, and I don't know, and that's what makes me so concerned for the people here in the Philippines on a deal like this. Like I say, it wasn't a week ago that they was hit with Tino, and I was just like everybody else. I thought, well, that wasn't so bad, and then 4, 5, 6 days later, that you're seeing all these videos and stuff that are being posted, and you're thinking, why is this just now getting out? It's because their communication was taken out. They had no access to electricity, and probably cell phone towers and that kind of stuff. So I really think this is going to be a lot worse. You're not gonna know how bad it is for probably a week. And I pray it's not bad at all, because, like I say, this is definitely a life-threatening event. I heard that more than 1 million people have been evacuated so far, and thank God for that, because this is the Widowmaker here, folks. This is the real deal. They call it a super typhoon. I guess it's still a super typhoon, but yeah, it's crazy. And like I say, my prayers go out to everybody. I mean, and that's one good thing about the Filipino people, is they're resilient. They don't get, they're still happy. They still appreciate everything, and you just see how tough they really are. You seen people a week ago losing everything, And they're just grateful people. I can't say that enough. That they're just an awesome breed of people. Just really, it amazes me. And you know what? Uh, I've been to the grocery stores in the last few days. You know what they're not doing? They're not out, you know, buying up all the damn toilet paper. They're not, of course, they don't use toilet paper here, but you know what I mean? Everybody at the grocery store is calm and all this, and there's not a rush and, you know, hoarding all the crap, you know, like there gets to be in the United States. I mean, it's just different over here. And of course, the people don't have much to buy all that stuff, but I don't think even if they did, uh, you'd have to worry about it. Just the people are so awesome here, and I just pray that everybody makes it out of this. But I'm afraid that there's going to be some casualties. Uh, Hang on just a sec. Okay. Yeah, like I said, people talk about global warming and stuff is causing all these uh, typhoons, hurricanes, and all this weird stuff happening in the weather. And whether you believe that or not, I don't know that I buy it. You know, global warming. Yeah, sure, there's global warming. I think there has been since the ice ages, or the ice wouldn't have melted. You know what I mean? I mean, they've been saying the same shit since uh, hell, Katrina, Hurricane Katrina. I don't know how many hurricanes we had that year, and it was, you know, that was because of global warming and all this, and they predicted all this crap and blah blah blah, and that's whether that's the cause of it or not. It don't really matter. It's here. That's what we're dealing with, and I don't know. I just think that there's probably patterns and weather patterns and everything else that go back thousands of years, and we wasn't there to record it, so we don't know if it's one big cycle that's coming back around. This could be, you know, like we have years. This could be just like one of the cycles. I don't know. That's like I say, neither here nor there. Uh, but luckily, I'm in Dumagetti, and not having to worry about the getting washed away, at least with this one. And like I say, I've been sitting out here, and it is a little bit eerie because this is the quietest night I think I've ever stayed in the Philippines, and it's kind of weird. It's kind of keeps you on edge. I've been watching a bunch of updates on the typhoon, where it's going to hit and all that crap, and I just it's so wide that they're having trouble predicting exactly. I know a lot of places have already got hit, but I hadn't really seen much footage on it. I know that Overstay Road, old King Marcos, he's doing a live right now in Angeles City, and nothing's happened in Angeles City. So who knows? And hopefully they won't. I think it's supposed to cross Luzon. I know Aaron messaged me, and he told me sometime up in he just said the northern Philippines is getting hammered right now, so he's evidently watching something, keeping him updated on it. But I think this is supposed to cross through Luzon, and then head up toward Taiwan. And I think that last one left here and headed straight for Vietnam and hit them pretty hard. But this, like I say, it's the real deal. It's super typhoon, or was a 4 or 5, the last I knew. And like I say, just prayers go out to everybody involved. Uh, and that's one good thing about the people here, folks, is that the people will come together, and the people that get displaced, or that don't have nothing, will make sure nobody does without. uh, Back in that Katrina deal, like I say, it was just a total nightmare, cluster F. Uh, we got there, probably took us a week to get there. They were still evacuating the convention center. You know, all them people had been in the Superdome, and it got so bad. I walked in the Superdome, folks, and stank got them. I don't know how them people stayed in there so long. The field itself, the astroturf turf, was just floating on the old nasty sewage water. And you got to remember, the Superdome is, I don't know, it's probably a story or two higher than the actual ground level. I mean, you have to take ramps up to it and everything just to get in it. I mean, it was bad. It was just, but the smell, the awful smell of I don't know what it was, but it was so bad that we had to put Vicks under our nose before we could walk in there, or you couldn't help but just start gagging and throwing up and losing your everything you had in you. I mean, and then what they did, they took us straight to the convention center, and that's all there was just one helicopter after another just coming in and picking people up, taking them out, and just terrible experience. And of course we had them big Hemmets, great big 8x8 trucks, so we could go through some waters, and they had us lined up, fixing to go do some, or we thought was fixing to go do some search and rescue when we first got there, and we was all lined up, and there was people coming by, cops and civilians, and saying, hey, you go down here 2 blocks and there's a guy on the roof, he needs help, blah blah blah. And our brass, our officers, and I hate to say this, but they was so afraid of getting in trouble by the higher ups or whatever. I felt like it was just a total waste of time us being there. We didn't help the people that needed help. It really bothered me for years, knowing that there was people that needed help. And I was driving one of the Hemnets, and I was about to follow this guy, and my sergeant said, no, hey, hold up, let me tell LT that we're going. Let me tell LT we was going, because I thought that was why we was there. I thought that was our mission. That's what we was there to do. And LT said, no, y'all hang tight. And I just looked at my sergeant like, what do you mean hang tight? It's been 7 days. These poor people are still on roofs. I mean, they don't have no water. They don't have. I mean, they're just desperate people. And I lost a lot of. I don't know. I don't mean to talk bad about. I'm just saying it was total cluster. And when so many people need help and you're not allowed to, just because somebody's afraid of making a decision, of saying, you know what it finally took? It took like a 14-year-old kid just to steal a damn bus and go to start driving people out of there. Or they'd still be there as far as I'm concerned. It took a teenage kid that had the balls to steal a bus to go and start getting the people out of there. And that's unbelievable. And we drove from Oklahoma all the way to Louisiana in a convoy, all the way there to sit there, and I just thought it was total waste. I was disappointed in them. I was disappointed in me for not bucking the system and just going. Of course, what good would that have done me other than get busted and all kind. It was just a no-win situation. No, it wasn't. It was a no-win, but it didn't have to be. We could have done some good things, but and then before we went home, they had us a little briefing and told us that we didn't have to tell other people back home what really went on there. And I just thought, that's one thing that I will not do. I will not hide the truth just because y'all are a bunch of cowards and wouldn't let, because 90% of the soldiers wanted to go do what they could. And it was just the brass, afraid of higher up brass, that wouldn't let them. And I don't see none of that happening here. I'm sorry I got off on that rant, but I don't see that here. I see people helping people, and like I say, I just hope everybody makes it through. I hope that there are no casualties. If there are casualties, I want them to be very minimum. And that's in a perfect world, but we don't live in a perfect world. So anyway, if y'all are out there, pray for the Philippines. They're under attack, folks, and I don't know. The sun will come out tomorrow, but we'll just have to wait and see. That's all I got, folks. This is Brent's Tripping. Peace.